Like, seriously. Hello. We just finished saying it is what it is.
Yep.
And this goes live. Hello, everyone. Happy Wednesday. Happy hump. No. Happy hump day and happy Groundhog's Day too, right?
Yep.
Is it Groundhog Day? Do we know if the groundhog saw
He
his
did.
shadow?
He saw his shadow. Punxsutawney Phil, that fatty, saw his shadow. How could you not? He's a big guy. So
that means our winter's extended. See, I still
6 more weeks of winter. But you know, this whole weather, this whole season's been really weird with weather. It's been unseasonably warm in some places. Meanwhile, all the folks in the Northeast just keep getting hammered with snow. So I'm like, whatever. I'll just go to Hawaii. No.
And you did. And speaking of which, so this is Leora Ruzin, who's joining us today. And we have to wish Leora a happy belated birthday.
Thank you.
Oh,
I'm 29 again. 29.
Again and again and again.
And again and again and again. Yes, correct.
Hello. Oh, I love this. Okay, so Christina's hopping in, and I totally forgot that it's 2222. So it's like a historical day.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, so I think we need to like manifest like really good things. And then
right.
I love it. So Leora, you're coming from us from Colorado, right?
That is correct. That's right.
Now, I hope I can say this, the fact that you and I've never met, but I've actually met your daughter and have probably talked to your daughter more than I talked.
Yeah, and actually you're going to be seeing Pepper again here in a couple of weeks.
Yes. So
when they fly out to DC.
Yes, yeah, so I love that.
How many times have we talked and had happy hours and all this stuff, and we have yet to meet? I can't wait for that moment because it's going to be like the biggest hug of all time.
Yes.
I can't wait. It's got to happen eventually, right?
Yeah, I'm not going to let you go on that one.
Can't wait.
I know. So I guess we can transition into, the topic of the show. And for whatever reason, I've wanted to have this topic. And then when you said you do the show, I felt like you'd be someone that would be great to speak on behalf of a lot of what I want to talk about, because,
sure.
This is Women That Tread. So it's all about speaking to women in the industry. And we all know that for a really long time, the industry kind of had its staple people in it, if you will. And it's starting to evolve and take a shift, which I absolutely love, right? And there's more women that are coming into the industry. But I wanted to talk about how, there's like that fine line for us where it's like we want to be able to be very vocal, but at the same time, we want to be able to be respectful.
Right.
And so there's that kind of balance there. And so, but that's why I say it's like taboo, because we still don't know how to address certain things, right? So I don't even know how to like dive into it, but let's just do it. At this point.
Sure. I think it's pretty clear. It's kind of like a double-edged sword. Sword. Yeah. I just said sword. That is so terrible. Oh my God. Sword. We're going to talk about swords. But anyway, so, after the Me Too movement, it's given us women the empowerment to speak up when we see things that aren't right. Not only within our personal lives or what we're going through, but in the industry in general. And it's brought light to a lot of issues that continue to happen in this industry, specifically with, men taking advantage of certain situations or thinking that they're above standard morals, right? And just doing the right thing. And so it's been difficult for women because we're like, okay, we have a voice now, we're being heard and people want to hear what we have to say, but we still have to, as you said, walk that line between, okay, how does my employer feel about me speaking my mind? Is this going to put myself in a bad light? Is this going to put like a tattoo on me that, oh, she's the one who's always going to complain that there's, not enough equality, or that they're always going to assume that something bad's going to happen to them. And so it's difficult, especially when there's situations that have occurred over the last few years with, individuals and companies that make it clear that women are still being violated. Women are still being disrespected. Women are still not given an equal playing field. And so how do we break through that taboo, and how do and this can happen to men too. Men
Absolutely.
can deal with inequality in the workplace and be looked over for a job because of something, whether it's, their gender, the color of their skin. But these are those taboos that we don't talk about. So how do you make sure that you're making your voice heard, but you're doing it in a way that is helpful and empowers others, and still keeps you like in a good place, and not being tattooed as that person who's always complaining.
Yeah. And it's difficult because, the only way that things can change is by us speaking up and talking about that things are, like there needs to be a change in certain ways. But at the same time, it's like, how do you do it? So I know that, for instance, with this show, especially, I have found that we have created like this really amazing network of women, and we all support each other and we're there for each other. And, I think a perfect example of it, and once again, not saying we're not going to be saying any names or anything, but I will say that there was a group of us women that really supported us, and we really validated how we felt. And that right there is really important too, because I think for a really long time there wasn't that when it came to women. um, and I'm seeing that we are really coming together and really supporting one another in a way that helps empower us as well, because we know that we have people have our back. And there was a situation where we did have each other's back, and it was really cool. Right.
It does feel good to know that you have a sounding board, because I know sometimes we may be thrown into a situation where passion takes over, and that passion drives decisions that may not be in the best interest of you or anybody else, and that you need a moment to break down how you're feeling, break down what happened, and really sit down and think about how you should address it. And having that sounding board, having that tribe really helps to, okay, I'm going to work through my emotions. It's like a therapy session almost, right? It is. And it's like, okay, this is how I feel, but okay, I'm going to set that aside for a minute. These are the facts. And what do I do with the facts? And how can I take those facts and turn it into something that will be helpful to others? I can't tell you how many times I have typed up an email or a text message in response to something that was done to me that hurt me or set me back in my career, or violated me in some way, physically, mentally, whatever. And I like backspace and ... backspace ...
Yeah.
And it's like, and then, but when I was in my younger years, I'd be like, send, look at me. That's how I feel. What are you going to do about it?
Consequences didn't really come into play, right? Like,
no, there's no pause. Right.
Yeah.
And it's also because I didn't have anybody that I could talk to about it. And you're right. It's like women are understanding that we need to have each other's back, not stab each other in the back. We can all have space in this industry to achieve our goals and to have that voice without hurting each other. It didn't always used to be that way because there wasn't enough spaces for us in this industry, right?
Yeah.
We were all fighting for the same positions. We were all fighting for the same seat at the table. We're still doing that, but it's getting better. And so we feel a little more safer to just be there for each other. And I think that that's awesome. It's something that we need to continue to do.
Absolutely. And, I do have to say that there are also plenty of men in this industry that are like so supportive. And I've been able to kind of, talk about certain things with some of the guys as well, because, they just, obviously they're not women, so they don't fully get it. But at the same time, they have the compassion, the empathy, and so forth. And that's important too, right? Like, so the more that we vocalize it, then we do kind of have those guys, as allies as well. But if they don't know that we're experiencing this and going through this, how are they going to know, right? It's like that typical thing with, you get upset with someone because they didn't do something, and you're like, but you didn't even tell them that that's something that you needed or wanted. And so you can't fault them for that. So it's kind of the same thing I feel in this industry. That's why I wanted to have this conversation, so that people see that, like, we're still dealing with it. We're still trying to figure out how to navigate it. And, it's going to take time, but it's talking about it and having the conversations that's going to help. And they're tough conversations, because I'm sitting here still trying to figure out how to, like, talk about it in a way where no one's sitting there thinking, oh, here we go. Once again, these women are complaining about this, or, bashing men. And that's not the case at all.
No, because there's plenty of women who do it too. And,
Yeah.
it may not be sexual in nature, but there's women, and I said it, there's women who will stab each other in the back because they think that's what they have to do to get to the
Yeah.
top. And that's not the case at all. What I have found to be frustrating as I've navigated through my career, and what's interesting is I find myself pulling away from the mortgage industry,
Mm.
and moving myself more towards an industry of true servant leadership and helping others and helping the community. The more that, I've been in the industry for 16 plus years.
Yeah, you've been
And
in it for a while.
as I've worked with some of these larger companies, I've seen that I can't affect positive change when I'm working with these massive companies, because I'm just
Mm.
one person out of, 2, 3, 4, 5,000 employees. So I find myself navigating back to an area where I feel like I can truly affect positive change, not just in my company, but in my community. Where was I going with this? But okay, yeah. So some of these companies who are very vocal in the mortgage
Mhm.
industry, they have a very large platform. They're very active with a lot of the trade organizations. They they perceive an image that's not actually the reality if you work
Right.
there, if that makes
Yeah.
sense.
No, it makes
They
total sense.
So as an employee of those companies, how do you navigate through that? How do you navigate knowing that on the outside, we're all about, empowering, we're all about giving everyone an equal chance and giving people an opportunity to, if they see something, say something, right? If they
Right.
see something that's going wrong, say something. But then the minute they do, they're being pulled aside and they're like, why'd you do that? That doesn't
Yeah.
look good for our brand. That doesn't look good for our image. And, this goes against our core values. And you're like, no, your core values state this. And
Yeah.
that's what I did. And now I'm being like punished for it. So I'm still trying to figure out how to navigate through that. And I'm like, well, then maybe I just need to leave the industry. I don't know.
I don't know. You have to do what's right for you and what you feel in your heart is best for you, right? And that's I keep think like essentially at the end of the day, what we have to do just for ourselves and our sanity,
Right.
And I know that I have ruffled a little bit of feathers here and there, but at the same time, like I'm also a very honest person.
Yeah.
So I can't sit there and lie about certain things. And, so it is tough. And, just like you said, where you have this image, it's the same with every industry, I think, right? Like where a lot
Mhm.
of industries have this like lip service, with certain things. And then you kind of go deep into it and you realize like, yeah, it's still a problem. It's still, it's like embedded in the system. And that's why
Mhm.
we have to sit here and just slowly kind of I guess, chisel our way out of it in some kind of way. I don't know how long it's going to be, but as long as we have these conversations and I love that Michael Ray, he's such a Michael Ray, he's hilarious.
Yeah,
He
I
cracks
do.
me up. He's
Yeah.
like he goes A to the men.
And you're right. So like,
Gabriella.
yeah, Gabriella, that's such a
Yeah, I was
tricky
gonna
thing to navigate. And it's, you have
yeah,
to be able, it's the risk versus reward, right?
yeah,
If I put this out there, that I've seen something that needs to be addressed, that there's been a major issue that has occurred. And sometimes I don't even have to say it. It just comes out because
yeah,
that's, it's kind of like karma. If you do bad
yeah,
things, it's going to come out. You can't hide forever.
yeah,
What is the risk? And am I willing to risk losing my job? Am I willing to risk ruining my reputation for this one thing? And that's where, like you said, that's where it helps having that sounding board, having that tribe, having those people who will be honest with you, mentors, coaches. They'll tell you you're nuts, you're crazy.
yeah,
Don't pitch it that way.
yeah,
Maybe just don't even talk about it for a few days or even a few weeks. Just sit on it for a minute. Or absolutely you should say something. And as there's people on this call where that exact thing happened, where we're
yeah,
like, something happened, there were comments made, and we all got together and said, this is how we think we should address it.
yeah.
And it ended up being an amazing thing. And of course, now it's kind of back to business as usual
I
when
was
some
gonna
of these things
say,
happen.
I had no idea like how it's like. What is it? God, I don't know. I forgot. There was a saying that I was going to say, and I totally forgot it. So,
But I think that, I don't know if that frustrates others, but it frustrates me because we feel like we've made progress, right?
yeah,
And we've addressed these issues with sexual harassment, with, quid pro quo. And then a few months later, it's like these people are back in the limelight. These people are back speaking at conferences, getting awards, being put on this pedestal that they were put in before that made them think that it was okay to act a certain way or say a certain thing. So when is that going? And I'm not saying I want people's lives ruined, but
Right.
we can't just like
But what
ignore
kind of
when these
message
things
does that
happen.
send? I mean, it sends the message of like, hey, like really what you said and what you did really doesn't matter because
Right.
everything went back to normal. And once again, that's like that hard kind of fine line where you said it, you don't want to ruin people's lives. We're not trying to, it's more of just speaking up and just saying, hey, something's not right here,
It's
period.
holding people accountable for their actions,
Yeah.
and making sure that lessons have been learned and that it's not going to happen again. There are people in this industry who do things, and I'm like, they're always going to be able to do those things because of the stature that they hold. And I just said, and women don't get that opportunity. When women do something, even something small, it's like they're branded forever. And that's frustrating because men, and again, this isn't an episode
No,
about
I
bashing
know,
men,
but no, but
but
it's the reality. Like we have to be honest about it. Like, you know,
yeah. Yeah. And if this means I'm going to get some hate mail or whatever, it is, again, it is what it is. I stand by how I feel. I
yeah,
stand by what I say. And I know that I have a voice, and it's a voice that has grown over the years as I've
yeah,
gone through some of the things that I've gone through in my life and career. And I feel that it's my responsibility to use that voice for good and to use that voice to shine light on these issues. And
yeah,
so what I would say is if there's women out there or men, doesn't
yeah,
matter, use your voice and don't be afraid, but don't go into it blindly. Have that tribe, have that sounding board, your mentors, your people to help guide you through the right process and the right way to do it. And if you see something, say something. I mean, don't give people a pass because they're the president or CEO of a company, or because they hold a powerful board position with a trade organization, or because they have a top rated podcast or something. I don't know. It's just,
yeah.
it's like a lot of these actors who are getting away with this kind of stuff too, and it's frustrating. How do we fix that? How do we fix that?
Yeah. Well, and that's what we're trying to figure out, right? We don't have the answers here. We're just
No, I wish we did.
talking about how, just how we're dealing with it because it is a pretty small industry. Everyone thinks mortgage industry. Yeah. I mean, there's a huge amount of companies and trade partners, but when it comes down to it, it is a really small industry and a lot of people know everybody. And
Yep.
so that's another thing too, that's really difficult, right? Because, a lot of these people, like I'm friends with a lot of people in this industry, let's just say. And so it's hard too when you hear something, and that's why it is important to have that sounding board because we can all have different perspectives and we can all have seen different sides of
Mm-hmm.
people as well too, which I think is really important because perception does become reality for a lot of us.
100%. 100%. I'm a victim of that.
Yeah.
That assumption that, if that's how I see it, then that's got to be the reality of it. And,
Yeah.
and that's not always the case. And if you don't speak up or say something, then you won't. How can you change your perception if you don't have all the
Yeah.
information? And I love that, some of the comments that we're getting here, if men speak up, that speaks volumes, and that gives other men the courage to speak up as well. And some of these men that I would love to speak up are men who have been in the crosshairs of controversy, and they just say, I'm sorry, and then they go about their lives. And then how does that change anything? It
Yeah.
doesn't.
Yeah.
And it's just like, oh, they'll be back to doing whatever it is that they were doing before. There's no punishment. There's no change. And I'm
Yeah.
not, that's really at the core of it, is how do we change? How do we change a narrative? How do we hold people accountable and hold people to a higher standard when they're in those positions of power? And
Yeah.
when they
And then
have
too,
that.
like that on that. Yeah. Cause we were just talking about how like there's plenty of men that really are very understanding, and Josh is one of that men shred.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why, I'm able to have this topic on the show today because, he and the rest of the team understand that it is important to at least have that conversation. And, if this helps in any way, like for people listening and maybe some men in the industry, maybe not even realizing that we feel this way or things are happening, maybe it'll enlighten them a little bit to where maybe they'll, speak up. You never know. Like, that's how I see it.
Yeah.
And we have a platform, so why not use our
Yeah.
voice?
And I have mad respect for those people who are willing to stick their necks out to help other people and to be a support for them when they're going through a tough time or when they're having to make a difficult decision.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of people know my story, but I had to leave a company because they made me choose between having a voice and getting to the next step in my career. And I said, I choose my voice all day, every day. And there was some fallout from that. And it took me a while to recover from that position, but I'm stronger now because of it.
Yeah.
And people see me as someone who will go out there and make those difficult decisions because I want to do the right thing. And it's because it's what I deserve. And I deserve to have my voice and use it for those reasons. And if it means I'm 2-3 years behind where I want to be in my career growth, that's okay. I can recover. I'll be fine.
Yeah, there's something to be said about integrity. There really is. And to have that integrity, and you'll just, be more well respected. And, because I know that you're someone that you really want to keep taking your career further and further and becoming, you're already a leader, but I know that we've had these conversations where you want to take it,
Yeah, I do. I do. I want that C. It's not getting the C-suite position or getting the corner office, but I know what can come with that. And again, it's having the power to do good and to do the right thing and to help my community and to help my, I'm a mother and I have children and I want to set that example. And I hope that there are men out there who feel that way too, that, I'm not a woman. I don't understand what it's like to be in your position, but I do have a daughter. I do have a mother. And I know how I would feel if these things were happening to them. And I would do everything I can to give them a better opportunity and to stop these things from happening. And so as I make those decisions in my personal career, I'm always thinking about, okay, if I get to that next level, what can I do with that? How can I do good? And how can I use this new power that I have and responsibility to do good and to help change the narrative?
Yeah. No, I love that. And that's kind of where I'm at with this as well. Like with children, it's been them when they did something wrong, so them feel understand what they did. Yeah, it is a tough one. But yeah, like I'm in a position too, where as I get older and as I have, a platform and I'm using my voice, I'm thinking I want to use it for good as well. Like I want to do something that actually makes a positive impact in this world. And, it's like, and if the more of us that have that mindset, and really have that, heart, that we really do want to do good, like how powerful is that? And so that's why, like, I feel like this show too, I've been kind of interacting with a lot of the guests or not the guests, but like people in the comments. And it's even opening so many doors for me and meeting so many other women because I have to find guests. And I'm thinking, you know what? And so I'm like on LinkedIn, I'm on, everywhere. And I've been reaching out and it's really cool because it's given me this opportunity to just meet these incredible women. And the more and more I'm doing this, the more and more I'm realizing like, wow, we all kind of feel the same way about so much. And it's just really cool. And I just feel like, the hashtag better together.
Oh, I love that. I love that.
I just feel that.
And what's cool is I went to a leadership retreat last July. It was a June or last August here in Colorado. And I met some amazing women in this industry that I never would have come across had I not gone to this leadership retreat. But it was unlike anything that I had ever experienced. We've all gone to conferences. We've all gone to these women's empowerment seminars and things like that. And it's all the same shtick. And no offense to those people who put it together,
Yeah,
but it's
but
the same, it's the same thing, same speakers, same content, and you walk away with the same stack of notes that you can compare to all the other conferences and, webinars and stuff. But I went to this leadership retreat, and I encourage other women to do something similar. I had to put away my phone, had to get off of social completely. I wasn't even on the radar. Half the time my husband couldn't find me on my iPhone, find my friend's thing. He's like, I hope she's okay and still alive.
yeah,
But we were, it was just us 8 women with our feelings and our thoughts and our fears. And we just laid it all out. And the moderator, I hope she's okay with me mentioning Bronwyn Morrissey, a phenomenal woman.
You
Absolutely
mentioned
adore
her
her.
last week, so you're good.
Oh, okay, good. It's like, this isn't mortgage. This isn't leadership. It's women. And what can we do to help you as a woman navigate through your fears? And what is the one thing that's holding you back from becoming that phenomenal woman that we all know that you are? And like, I'm getting emotional just thinking about it. But after
I'm getting goosies, so.
and it's like, and then we cast it into a fire, and then that's it. It was gone. And I was like, I'm letting it go. And I let go of something that was really, really holding me back. And I think you know what it was. But I'm so grateful for that moment, because now I feel like it was the right thing. What happened, as much as it sucked when I was in the moment, I wouldn't be where I am today. And it's because I was given that power to just let it go and throw it away. And when you have to talk about these difficult things, these taboo topics, you have to be able to let it go once you've put it out there. And of course, you want to say what you want to say because there's a reason why, because you want to affect positive change. So what's the why? And once you are able to express that, then it's time to, okay, now let's put it into action, and then we need to move on, right? And just let it go.
Yeah. Because even with this conversation, we can get off the conversation, end it, and just be like, oh gosh, what's going to be the repercussions? Like, are people going to say anything? Like, oh my
Probably.
gosh. But, like you said, we got to just kind of let it go and just realize that we're just trying to do good. We really are. This is something that, it needs to be talked about, period. And for instance, like Gabriella, she's going to be on the show next week. So she's, in 2 weeks. No, in 2 weeks, she'll be my guest in 2 weeks. But, Gabriella wants to talk about, the youth in our industry and keep, retaining the youth and keeping them engaged and so forth. Well, that's kind of something where, they have to understand what they're getting into as well.
Right.
We got to be really open and pretty transparent about this industry if we want to retain, these young professionals as well. And so I love that she and I will have kind of that conversation.
That's awesome, because
we're taboo with young professionals too. Where
and not just women too. When I was early on in my career, the first mortgage company that I worked for, I was there for 5 years. And during that 5-year period, I gained more responsibility and I was doing more for the company. But I found that I felt that I had to, in order to get into that inner circle, to get to that next level, that it meant I was going out partying, staying out way too late, just doing things that were not responsible and that weren't putting my values first or putting my family first. And when I realized at the end of this 5-year period that I was this close to losing my marriage, that I wasn't spending time with my daughter, I was like, is this worth it? And so these are the lessons that I hope our young professionals don't have to experience themselves, that they just know these things are out there. Don't sell yourself short because you think that's what you have to do to get to the next level. You don't have to go to the parties. You don't have to stay out late out all the time, getting drunk or doing stupid stuff because
you don't have to be that 24/7 because, that's something too. I think that we just, you're young. You should be able to hustle and grind and, you don't need a break and what's, self-care. Like you got to earn your place.
Oh,
and
don't,
and it's like,
don't get me going on the hustle.
Yeah.
I hate the hustle culture. And I've said it before, don't get me going on hustle culture. I think that it's toxic.
We'll get it going with Gabriella. She and I will.
Yes. Because I'm telling you, these young professionals, you don't have to be the first one in and the last one out every day. You don't have to be working on vacation.
Yeah.
You deserve a break. And it's about working smart, not working hard.
Yeah.
sometimes I can get my work done in 4 hours. Does that mean I'm lazy? No, that just means I'm really efficient and good at what I do. And I cut out all the crap, right?
Yeah.
And so, and I think that that's great. I'm definitely going to be tuning in 2 weeks for that.
Yeah,
for sure.
yeah. So that'll be in 2 weeks. And then next week, I wish I could pronounce her name, Christy. She's with Flagstar. Christy.
Wow.
How do you pronounce her last name?
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry, Christy. Your last name is difficult. Sukamat? I can't. I'm so sorry. She's gonna hate me because
I know. I'm gonna have to get that, down pat, because that would be really embarrassing too. But all right. So Gabriella is in 2 weeks. Christy's next week, and it's 30 minutes. See how quickly this goes.
Wow.
But thank you so much for having this difficult conversation with me. I hope that we can kind of continue to have them.
Yeah. And and if anyone wants to stay in touch with me, you can find me on LinkedIn. I'm all over social. I do stupid TikToks if you want to follow me there. Mostly with my 4 cats because I'm the crazy cat lady. But I love having these conversations, as difficult as they are, because it gets people talking.
Perfect. All right. And Sue had just correct. Sue Camnute. Sue Camnute. Sue, does that sound? Christy Sue Camnute. Okay, we're gonna have to. Sorry, Christy. We love you. All right. Thanks again, and thanks for everyone for tuning in and being a part of the conversation and in your comments. I always appreciate it, and I will see you all next week.
Mahalo.